All right. Well, thanks so much for being with us today. My name is Mika, and I am one of the co-directors of the San Francisco Disability Cultural Center. And thank you for starting your day with us. Um, I know we're all holding a lot, so we're really grateful to have Tan back for another yoga class. Before we dive in, a few access notes. If you'd like more personalized captions from stream text, you can access them at dcc.page/captions. We'll be using the chat for this event, but if you need to turn off screen reader alerts, go to Video Settings, select Accessibility, and then unclick the boxes for Meeting Public in Meeting Chat has been received. Today's program is a Zoom meeting, so feel free to turn on your video if you wish. And if you'd like to participate, you can use the chat or emoji buttons or raise hand function and share verbally. But if that's not possible, you can also unmute and share when Tan invites contributions. For tech support, you can message me through the chat, or you can email access@disabilityculturalcenter.org. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Tan, to get us started.
Thank you, Mika, and hi everyone. It's um it's so nice to be back. I'm always so honored to be here and teach in this space. It always just feels like a big hug whenever I'm invited back for a class to teach or just to show up in any of the spaces that or events that the DCC holds. I'll just take a moment to introduce myself and then have a few like house rules and that you all can opt in or out of before we really get to moving or being or however this unfolds for the next like 45-ish minutes, right? So again, I am Tan. I use they them pronouns. I am tuning in from Memphis, Tennessee, in the so called United States of America. I am a yoga teacher, a chef. I am a solo family dementia caregiver and a parent of two little humans who you may or may not hear in the background. Also, along with my 70-pound fur monster, who you may also hear in the background at times. Life is happening, y'all. And as we all know, that a lot is happening in the world. Um, so, yeah, let's see. What do I want to share? I will just locate myself. I'm always nervous when I'm invited into a space. So like my stomach is doing a thing, my heart is doing a thing, on top of all the other emotions and whatnot that I am bringing into the space that are landing in my body because a lot is happening in the world right now. And it's so important that, we're always like showing up and coming together and reminding ourselves and each other of like our humanity. Um, mm, let's see. Before um, um, my words, y'all. I do before we get to moving. I would like to do a quick check-in actually. Um, and I always like to check in a different like way every time I show up to teach. And I'm really feeling like a weather report, like an internal weather report. So I want to invite you all, if you so choose to accept the invitation, to either drop into the chat with words or an emoji, or even use the reaction button to maybe share an internal weather report. And this may, again, you can use words, emojis, or reaction. And as an example for myself, an internal weather report. And it's also matches what's happening in my actual physical like world right now here in Memphis. But I'm feeling partly, well, no, mostly cloudy with like bright spots of sunshine. So I'm curious to know how people are landing via weather report. So I'll invite you all to take the next maybe minute or so to sit with that or share in the chat via words, reactions, or emojis. And I'll read them off in a moment. Okay, let's see. I'm seeing some emojis and some words. And I apologize if I miss any Zoom reactions. Let's see. I see from Carol, my insides are cold and very gray today. From Sabrina, cloudy and cold as well, along with the weather in Chicago. Yes. I'm seeing from Todd, a few clouds, slight chance of rain. From Jackie, cloudy and a light breeze. Ooh, Dax, there's a squall of stress in my stomach, but it's on the way out. Showers of back pain, predicted to continue. Sending love, Dax. From Deborah, I see stormy weather. From Victoria, I am seeing NOAA. I'm not sure what that is. Funding is reduced for weather reporting. And so am I. And I'm also seeing a partly cloudy emoji. Yes. Let's see, I'll read off a few more. Oh, I love all of this, y'all. I'm seeing weathered and sleepy, sun breaking through the clouds, raining, but the sun is still shining, holding lots of things at once. Yes. Mostly cloudy, doubting the sun. Mm, mm, mm. I see thunderstorm, cloudy, humid, hard to breathe with a little bit of sunshine. See some high wind surf, moving between foggy and sun showers. Frida, yes, I love this internal weather report. I'm full of gusty winds, as our local weather report often says. Also, atmospheric pressure. And I also see funnel clouds forming and looking for my yoga mat. Yes. I'll take a pause here and maybe a few breaths. Thank you all for sharing. And I also need a moment to figure out how to close out the chat. So give me a moment, y'all. Um, take a moment. I don't know if someone can help me. I haven't been on Zoom in a while, but I expanded the chat so I can't see faces. I can't get back to the gallery. I see three dots, but it just says save chat. I'm not sure how to condense it back down so I can see all of your faces and myself. Can someone maybe talk me through it?
When I look at it, Tan, um, there are three dots and then a little square with a pop-out arrow and then an X to the right.
That was it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thought if I hit the X, I was gonna close out all of Zoom. So it was right there. I appreciate it. Yes.
Hi, one more tech request from the interpreters. Could we have someone managing the spotlight for not for the interpreters, but for Tan and Mika? I've been doing that while interpreting. It's not really working out. So thanks so much.
Of course.
I just want to say, like, just to just witness like what just happened, life is happening, technology is happening. It's really warming to be able to be in a space for people to say, like, hey, something's happening. Can someone help? And to ask for what they need, and folks respond. I just want to say how grateful I am for that. And I appreciate, the things that just happened. Yes. Asking for what we need and people being like, sure, absolutely. Um, so before we get started, or before we start moving or being or whatever we're all called to do so, just a few house rules. And I don't, maybe that isn't the language, but it's the language I have for the moment. Um, Anything I offer for us to do today, um, no is a full sentence. You can be in this space, in your space, in any way you feel called to do so. You're never stuck. So if something isn't working for you after a few breaths or a few moments, feel free to do something else with your own permission. There is no right or wrong way to show up here. I ask that we keep in mind that our bodies are showing up for us in this moment in the best way that it knows how. And our only job in this moment, and I'm just offering this, is to meet it halfway, with care, with compassion. And that's kind of the theme I have as we're in space this morning or afternoon, or maybe wherever or whenever you're tuning in from. So again, so much is happening in the world, and I'll speak for myself that sometimes I become, maybe the word is disembodied or disengaged, or maybe even numb to what's happening, like in my body. Like maybe I don't notice that I'm carrying intention, or that I'm gripping, or that I'm clenching. And I'm hoping for our time together today is that we just remind ourselves that we have a body that has work to do in this world, whether that work is for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for the collective as a whole. Um, and I'll pause right there with that. Um, and we will go ahead and get started. Let me do a quick time check. Wonderful. We're exactly where we need to be. Um, So we can take a moment to gather our things. And if you're already where you want to be, that is perfect. I am currently in my living room. I have two yoga mats that I've doubled up on my floor because I have like some joint issues. I also have a really thick pillow that I'm sitting on that I'll move around as we move together. You can be on your couch, you can be on your floor, you can be on your bed. You can be anywhere that you feel sustained and supported and at ease, or whatever that means for you. Um, you might grab pillows, blankets, blocks, um, maybe furry beings or other loved ones in your space, right? You can sit back in a chair or a recliner and know that you don't have to do anything in this space in our time together other than be here and maybe breathe if that's what you want to do. You can nap, you can rest, you can daydream, you can journal, right? Um, so yeah, so maybe take a minute to gather yourself, your breath, anything you might need for the next 30-ish minutes. And I'm going to move back so you all can see me a little, maybe more clearly. And let me know at any point in time if you can't hear me. My AC did just pop on. And we'll get started. And actually, I'll check in with the chat for just a moment. Yes. Thank you. All right. So feel free to lay back, sit down, stand, sit, wherever you are, right? And you may need to wiggle, move, shift, adjust. I am currently sitting on my yoga mat. My big bolster, my big thick pillow is behind me, and I'm gonna kind of scooch up to that. My legs are out long. I'm gonna close my eyes for just a moment. And I'll invite you all to do that if that feels okay, or maybe even settle your gaze on something in your space. And let's take a moment to maybe arrive. And arriving may look different for everyone. You can maybe arrive to your space or this space, right? By maybe noticing the temperature of the space for the room that you're in. Maybe taking note of sound, shape, smells, things, objects, nature in your space. You may notice maybe the weight or texture of your clothing or your support items, whether that be a mat, a blanket, a pillow, a floor. You may begin to notice your breath in this moment. Is it stuck? Is it free? Is it expansive? Is it labored? The invitation is to notice maybe the physical things, the temperatures, your clothes, the breath. Notice without judging or needing to shift or adjust or narrate. Just being present to whatever is present. And then maybe you begin to shift your focus or your awareness or this noticing practice to the quality of maybe the thoughts. With everything happening in the world, living under capitalism, white supremacist violence, the mind can sometimes time travel, right? And keep us from presence. we may be thinking about something, like we may be time traveling to the past, thinking about things that didn't get done, or something that already happened, or maybe even time traveling to the future to things that we may have to do when we leave this meeting. The invitation right now is to maybe bring the mind, the heart, the breath, the body all in one space. To just be present. And I don't use the words just lightly because it's not an easy thing to do. But the invitation is to practice being present in this moment. So let's take maybe the next several moments to arrive, to notice, to be wherever you are. Take a few more, maybe moments or cycles of breath. For these last few moments, it might make sense to maybe touch the belly or the heart space to feel the breath. And then if, and only if and when you are ready, if the eyes are closed, maybe gently flutter them open and maybe shift your gaze, or if the practice of sight doesn't make sense right now, to maybe move the head or the body in a direction that feels organic or needed right now. If the eyes were already open or you had your body facing in one direction, this might be an opportunity to shift the gaze or the body somewhere different for just a moment. This may look like wiggling the toes or the fingers, or stretching out, or squeezing in. And then, because these are all just, there's that word again, just, because these are all invitations. I'll invite you from here, wherever you are, to maybe place your hands somewhere on the body and just start giving yourself some gentle squeezes. Now, if that doesn't resonate with you for whatever reason, you might tense up a part of the body and relax, maybe starting at the toes, working your way up the legs, the hips, taking your time here, whether you're using your hands or your own body to squeeze, to touch, to feel. And there doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason or pattern to how you're either tensing up or squeezing or touching or moving. Just, there it is again. Maybe using this as an opportunity to remind yourself of this physical body. This body that is worthy of breath, of care, of love. this body that whether we're experiencing points of erasure or marginalization, or even if mm, mm, we'll just pause there, right? So let's take another moment or so to squeeze, touch, stretch, expand, whatever that looks like. There's no right or wrong way to be here. Maybe as you're tensing and releasing or squeezing and softening, maybe you notice parts of the body that need some love or some attention. Maybe there's parts of the body or the breath or even the mind that feels sticky or stuck. Maybe things feel open or fluid. Maybe there's popping, maybe there's sounds. Take about 10 more seconds or longer if you need it. And then I'll invite us from here into maybe a little more structured or guided movement. And again, like you can move or be in a way that makes sense in your body, whether you're resting or moving. Now I'm moving from my mat, but everything I offer, you can do standing in a chair, on a couch, or the bed. Feel free to add, multiply, divide, subtract, whatever it is that you need to. So I'm gonna come to my spine, and even if you can't see my whole body, hopefully my verbal cues make sense. And even if you think you're doing something completely different from what I'm offering, you're exactly where you need to be. So I'm coming to my spine, and for a moment, I'm gonna take up some space. So you can do this in your bed, on the couch, or the chair. I'm gonna stretch out like a starfish. Just because taking up space, like, is a practice I think we should all practice more. In a world where our bodies are being politicized and they're expected to conform or be in boxes or constraints. Maybe using this like practice of taking up space as an opportunity to like push those either boundaries or constraints away. And I'm gonna wiggle here for a moment just because I wasn't planning to, but it just feels nice to take up some space, squeezing my toes, my fingers, right? Because I don't have to just be on my yoga mat, or I can hang off the couch or the bed, right? And you can continue to just take up space wherever you are, stretch out. I'll invite you all we're gonna begin to move a little bit if you'd like. I'm gonna bring my legs together and my hands to my sides. And then wherever you are, I'll invite you to stretch your legs away. Since I'm on the ground, I'm pressing my heels away, pulling my toes back so much that the backs of my knees are pressing into the earth and my heels are lifting a little. So I'm just really engaging through my legs. And then you can soften, right? So like let that tension go. And you can do this standing as well. And then if you're standing, you can press into your feet and just maybe lift all 10 toes and engage through the legs. And then soften everything down. So let's do that a few times. So you can inhale, press the heels away, maybe lift the toes, whether you're standing or sitting. And then soften. Let's do that 2 or 3 more times. Inhaling, engaging through the legs. And then exhale, soften. Engaging through the legs. And then softening. And then maybe last time, engaging through the legs, pressing everything away or down to the earth. And then softening. And then let's take a breath here. You can let that go. Notice what you notice. And then we can let the legs go for a minute. And then we can invite in our arms and stuff. So kind of the same thing. So whether you're standing or sitting upright or laying down on your spine or even in a chair, I'll invite you to reach your fingertips forward, or you can visualize this, right? You can visualize your arms stretching outwards from their shoulders. And I'll invite you to plug your shoulders into their sockets. Now, if you're seated in a chair or you're laying down on your back, and I'll demo this or just talk through it, you can really engage with this practice. You can feel the backs of your shoulders press into the earth or your yoga mat or the chair. And even if you're sitting upright, just pull the shoulders back. So engage through the arms. Holding here, getting really active through the fingertips, but the shoulders are away from the ears. No unnecessary tension there. And then if, and only if, and when you want, you can inhale and reach the arms up towards the sky or back behind, right? So if you're laying down, the thumbs may touch the earth. And then on your next exhale, bring the hands either in front of you or down to your side. And then we'll do that 2 or 3 more times. So as you inhale, reach the arms up and back or forward and back. And on your exhale, bring the hands back down. And you can do this if you're standing too, right? A few more times, moving with the breath, if it makes sense. And then we'll just be here for 3, 2, 1. Next time the hands come back down or at your sides, pause, notice. What do you notice? Maybe take a few more breaths. And then let's add in the legs and the arms. So a few ways to be here. If you're on the earth like I am, with the legs outstretched, not even turn this way for a moment. We'll do the same thing we just did, except we'll simultaneously engage the arms and the legs and move. So on your next inhale, you can stretch the heels away. So press the backs of the legs or the knees into the earth. And as you do that, you inhale and reach the arms up and back. And then exhale, hands come right back down, soften the legs. If you're in a chair, this may look like stretching the legs away and reaching the arms up, almost maybe taking yourself into the letter L. Well, you can do this if you're seated on the ground as well. And then exhale, soften everything down. If you're standing or you've shifted to standing, this may look like pressing down through your feet, reaching the arms up and back, big morning stretch. And then exhale, pull everything down. So I'll invite you to move like that for a few more cycles of breath. And I hear my mother calling me. So I'll invite you all to continue to stretch out and expand on your inhale. And then exhale, soften and pull everything down for just the next 30 seconds while I go check in with my parent. Life is happening, y'all. Think about maybe a few more cycles of breath to stretch, to expand, and then exhale, soften. And we'll be here for 3, 2, 1. You can let that go. Check in with the body, the breath. Notice. And then we'll add on, or you can shift to stillness or do something different, right? So moving back to my spine, I'll give a great big inhale. Maybe I want to stretch out like a starfish once again, or reach my legs and arms away. And on the exhale, I'm going to pull my knees into my chest and give myself a squeeze. You can decide if you want to lift up your head and shoulders towards your knees, or you can keep the head and shoulders down, right? So you can inhale, expand, exhale, squeeze in if you're on your spine. If you're seated upright, whether in a chair or on the floor, this may look like stretching up and away once again. And then exhale, maybe melting and diving forward towards the legs or the toes as if you were diving into a pool. You may notice maybe some tension on the backs of the legs or the back. Bringing in a pillow or a block to bring the ground or your legs up to you might be helpful. If you're standing or you're upright, same thing. You can inhale, maybe stretch up, out, and away. And this might make sense to exhale as you fold forward, bringing the hands to a couch or a chair, pillow or block, and then you can inhale and reach up, right? Or move in another way that makes sense. It's moving slowly, mindfully, with attention and attention. You can move with the breath or without the breath, or move in another way, or not move at all. And maybe you've chosen a stillness practice or a relative stillness practice. I'll offer to maybe bring the hands, the heart, or the belly. Or you can even give yourself a squeeze and just hold and rock. Maybe even hum here. And then wherever you are, we'll be here for about 5 more cycles of breath, whether you've chosen to move. And then we'll be here for 3, wherever you are. 2, 1. The invitation is to let that go. Maybe take a few cycles of breath. Check in, notice. Real quick time check. Perfect. And then, I'd like to offer, if you shall choose to accept the invitation, let's play around with a little bit of balance. And always this can be done in a chair, on the floor, and I'll give variations for all of it. So I'll start on the floor and make my way up to standing. If you've chosen to be on the floor or even the bed, I'll invite you to move to all fours. And I'll offer another variation for a balance practice if moving to hands and knees and you need to be on the floor, it doesn't work for you. So I'm in hands and knees. I have lots of cushion under my hand. You can always fold up a towel or a pillow under the wrist if you don't want to weight bear, or even come to a pillow on the forearms, right? And just to offer a little heat, right? If you're on hands and knees, I'll invite you to reach a leg back on the right or the left leg, right? So I'm reaching my right leg back and I reach my left hand forward. I'm gathering my belly and holding here, right? That's option number one. And you can hold that for as many breaths as you like before resting as I move through these other variations. And weight bearing on the hands and knees isn't an option. If you're on your back, maybe you can balance a pillow or a book, like reach your hands towards the ceiling and balance a book or a pillow on the palms. Or even like balance a book or a pillow on the feet as you reach the hands and feet up towards the sky. Lots of ways to be creative here to play around with balance if you're on your back. If you're in a chair, balance may look like, and I'll pretend I'm in a chair, y'all, so we'll see how this works, right? Balance may look like reaching, one leg forward and the opposite hand up or out, right? And you can hold that for as many breaths as you like. Just make sure you're breathing. And if you're standing, I kind of just did the same thing. You can bring one knee in line with the hip. You can have a couch or a chair in front of you. You can work on reaching the arms up or the leg out. Wherever you are, maybe hold for 1 or 2 more breaths if you haven't already decided to opt out and rest, right? So balance can look different for many different ways, different in many different ways. And wherever you are, we'll be here for 3, 2. You can let go of whatever balance practice that you're in and take a few breaths before moving to the other side or shifting to something different. And then when you're ready, you can take that balance practice to the other side, whatever that looks like, or you can opt out. Again, that looks different if you're on hands and knees and weight bearing isn't too much today. You can stretch one leg out and away and maybe reach the opposite hand forward. Or maybe you're on forearms, right? This looks different. Everyone's camera's off, so you can do whatever it is that you need to do. But wherever you are, I'll invite you to commit to maybe 3 to 4 more full intentional breaths, not needing to work too hard or do the most. We want effort, but ease, maybe a little play. And then wherever you are, we'll be there for 5, 4, 3, maybe take an in breath and hold, maybe. And then exhale, let it go. And then notice, breathe, pause, rest. And then I think one more shape, and I'm going through my internal Rolodex of things that we could do. I'm thinking a holding shape that may be a little intense on the hips. So I'll offer several, maybe not several, maybe 2 or 3 variations for us to hold and maybe be with or breathe through, mostly in the hips. So yes. So option number 1, and if you've taken a class with me before, this might sound very familiar. I really like to have pillows or blocks or support near me, and I'll talk you through all of those as best I can at the moment. I do have my big bolster here that I like to use as a block to bring the ground up. My couch is also right here. If you have a chair or something else here you can prop up on, or a headboard, if you're in a bed or a coffee table, you can make the shape your own. So here we go. So from my back on my spine, I'm gonna bring my feet to the floor with my knees pointing up. And even if, so if you're standing, I will invite you to maybe come to the ground, but if not, I'll offer a standing variation that's a little harder, quote unquote, in just a moment. So from the earth, feet to the floor, knees pointing up. I'm gonna stretch my right leg maybe up and away for a moment. Actually, before we even do that, I like shifting things at the last moment. If you can, wherever you are, and if you're standing, maybe just do one leg at a time. I like everyone to actually stretch their legs up towards the sky. I cannot seem to teach a class without like taking the legs up towards the sky, because our legs, our lower half, that keeps us grounded and supported. It does so much work for us during the day, right? So if you're standing, maybe just stretch one leg out in the way. But if you're on your ground, if you're on the ground or on the couch or seated, maybe you stretch both legs out or up. And then maybe begin to do like some ankle circles. They can go towards one another or away from one another. You can pull them back towards bring your toes back towards the ground and point them away. Right? You can squeeze and spread the toes. Right? And then a practice I always like to offer here lately is to take your left toes or your left foot and draw your first name in the sky, either in print or in cursive, right? And then notice as you're doing that, if you just move your ankle and your foot, or if your whole hip is involved. No right or wrong way to do it. I always just find it interesting to witness. And then take your right foot or toes and write your last name in the air, maybe in print or in cursive, right? You may notice the toes or the ankles are tight, or maybe you want to write a paragraph or a whole dissertation, right? So maybe just take and then write your name again. First name, the last name. You can write it in Japanese or whatever, right? And then when you're finished with that, you can bring the feet back down to the ground. And whether you're on your back or seated, the right ankle, and I'm going to turn my back away for the camera so maybe you all can see my feet and my knees. Right ankle is going to cross the left knee. So you're going to kind of make a figure 4 with the legs. That left foot can stay on the ground. Or you can put a block or a bolster underneath your left foot, and I'll turn again. Or you can bring your left foot on a couch or even up a wall. And already for me, I can feel like some tension in my right hip. So I'll bring my left foot back down towards the ground. You can even take your right hand and press your right thigh or knee away, just gently. You just want to find first sensation as you take that figure 4. And I'll encourage you to keep the shoulders and head on the ground. Now, if you're feeling froggy and strong today and you want to do this standing, again, you can find that balance shape again by maybe lifting the right knee or right leg, bending the left knee, and there will be some wobbling, so I'm going to find a wall. The right ankle can cross the left knee, and then you can bend the hips back. Now I'm using the wall as support. If you have a chair, you can do the seated, right? And you can lift the torso. I'm going to release this shape because I have joint issues and that doesn't feel great for me. But wherever you are, I'm going to invite you to take 5 to 7 breaths. You may notice in that hip, if you decided to take like that hip opener, and that's a quote unquote, just because language is a thing, a weird thing. There may be tension around the inner groin of the right hip or the outer groin. The invitation is to notice it and see where you can soften around it, because a lot of times we can't do anything about the resistance or the tension or the tightness. But what we can do is be with it by softening our face, our throats, shoulders, our bellies. And take about 3 more breaths here. Using the inhale to take in something you need. Maybe using the exhale to maybe soften or resist or melt a little more. And take maybe 1 more breath here. And then without slingshotting or like rushing towards the next thing, slowly unwind or twist or adjust or let go. It may feel okay or feel like needed to maybe windshield wiper the knees by bringing the feet back down, widening the feet, and maybe letting the knees fall to one side and then the other. And then when you're ready, taking that shape on the other side, right? You may want to stretch both legs up towards the sky one more time. Feel free to write another note in the air, or just stretch that left leg out or up and cross it over the right knee. Again, checking in. There's no reason to rush towards. We have all the time in the world here. You may notice that this side feels maybe easier, quote unquote, or harder or more resistance. The practice is to notice, not needing to judge, narrate, or attach. And wherever you land, take about 7 to 8 breaths here. Again, using the inhale to take in something that you need. And using that exhale to soften the face, the jaw, the throat, the belly, the heart. Take about 1 more breath here. And then without slingshotting, in your own time, with care and intention, unwind, let go, come out of whatever shape you find yourself in. If there's a movement that needs to happen, stretching out or squeezing in or rocking, let it happen. And then we can let go of the practice. I'll invite you into a shape that resembles rest for you in this moment, whether that be moving to a chair or to the floor, or even moving to your side in the fetal position, or even on your belly. You can wrap up in a blanket or squeeze a pillow. But take the next few moments to allow yourself to melt, to be held, to settle in. to your rest shape. And then we'll take the next roughly 2 minutes to be relatively still and quiet. And I'm going to mute my microphone. And I'll bring us out shortly. Take about 30 more seconds here. This may look like beginning to offer a deeper breath in, maybe a longer exhale out. If you're not ready to shift or move, that is perfectly okay. I'll invite you to bring your awareness back to your body if it left. And if you got lost, where did you go? And then I'll close us out here with it's a simple desire, a wish for myself, my family, my friends, this space, the collective. May those who constantly carry know what it feels like to be supported. May those hidden behind walls of silence find safe spaces to speak. May all beings be happy, joyous, and free. And may we all contribute to that happiness, joy, and freedom. And then thank y'all. Amen and Ashe.
Thank you so much, Tan, for holding space and encouraging us not to rush or judge, and just being present in this moment with us. This month is lighter as we prepare for the opening of our physical space, but we have our town hall next week, a chronic pain circle the following week, and Cafe Crip on pets and animals. Shout out to Hubert, who I think we saw. We're dropping the link to our link tree in the chat where you can find out more. This program was presented by the San Francisco Disability Cultural Center, a collaboration led by Elsie and Lily Cox Haven of Hope, with support from the Paul K. Longmore Institute on Disability at San Francisco State University, all made possible thanks to financial support from the City of San Francisco's Human Service Agency's Department of Disability and Aging Services. Thanks again, Tan. Thanks to our Access team, especially for dealing with all the Zoom glitches today. And thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.